Hi, I'm Omnisante. For my next venture into my Black 3 White 3 project, I'll have to de-fairy the fairy types of Unova. If you didn't watch my first video on this, basically fairy types are extinct and dragons reign supreme. This is 70 years in the future and evolution has had to take place very rapidly. This is Pokemon, so we can suspend some disbelief. The only fairy types in Unova other than Cottony and Whimsicott, which I made new forms for in my last video, are the evolutionary lines of Azurill, Cleffa, and Igglybuff. I'll make new forms for these basic stage Pokemon in this video. Starting with Azurill, you can find it in the Flossacy Range in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2. As a normal type, it will get beat by the Riolu that are found in the same place, and be outcompeted stat-wise by Lillipup. So in order to have a better matchup against the Pokemon in the range, its buoyant tail became even more buoyant and now floats in the air. Our new Azurill is now a flying type, so with that in mind, let's get to drawing. I started with the basic shape of Azurill, but I had the idea of it swinging around with its tail in the air. For now, it won't look very different from regular Azurill, but this is the final art. Its abilities are Solar Power and Huge Power, with the hidden ability Volt Absorb. Similar to the original Azurill line, its space stats are horrible, and they'll have to be carried by their abilities. The only decent moves it'll get by level up are Flame Burst, Charm, Slam, and Bounce. I imagine the oil in its tail is super flammable, so in the sun it might be able to use some powerful fire-type attacks. Kinda like a hot air balloon. Anyway, even though this design isn't super different from the original, I really like it, and let me know if you're into the animations I'm making for this video. Cleffa is quite the rare Pokemon, but whenever you see it or hear about it, it's always about how it's from space. Pretty much every Pokedex entry compares it to stars or says it came to Earth on a meteor or something like that. So, my idea for Cleffa was to make it the original user of Draco Meteor, the strongest Dragon-type move. It'll be the only Pokemon to learn it by level up, and maybe it's the one that taught ancient Dragon-type masters to teach it to their own Pokemon. So let's get to drawing. I started with a shape that's similar to the original Cleffa, but not exactly, gave it a cute face, and then drew a fiery comet tail around it, like it's a meteor in perpetual motion. This is the final art. It's basically the reincarnation of Draco Meteor, and a pure Dragon-type. Its abilities are Levitate and Magic Guard with the hidden ability Dragon's Maw. That last one is Regidrago's hidden ability, which powers Dragon-type moves by 1.5 times. Similar to the Azurill line, Cleffa will have to be carried by its powerful abilities, but maybe this one's evolutions will have better base stats than the ones we know of. This Cleffa is much more offensive than the original Cleffa, and gets offensive moves by level up like Copycat, Fire Spin, Twister, Dragon Dance, and most importantly, Draco Meteor. Opelucid Cleffa attacks using the raw energy around it, so it can use a wide variety of elemental attacks. I'm also pretty proud of this design. I feel like it fits into Cleffa's lore nicely. The Igglybuff line is probably the worst out of these three competitively, but we'll give them a pass because he's just a ball. So round, so spherical. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take Igglybuff in a different direction with this Opelucid form. The original Igglybuff is soft and bouncy and beautiful and precious. We're going to have to turn the design on its head. You can find Jigglypuff, its evolution, on Route 1 in Pokemon Black 2 and White 2, and it was living a happy life as a normal type until another Pokemon living in Route 1, I won't say who, but they poked Jigglypuff with a needle. But as we all know, Jigglypuff is eternal, and Jigglypuff lives on, as a ghost type. Let's get drawing. So I basically just drew regular Igglybuff, but with a slightly different pattern on its forehead, and of course a needle through the middle. This is the final art. I know this design is little on the nose, but I had a really cool idea for its evolutions, and you can imagine spirit energy coming out of the end of the needle as Igglybuff attacks. Its abilities are Adaptability and Competitive, with the hidden ability Rivalry. Its notable level-up moves are Confuse Ray, Curse, Shadow Sneak, and Disable. Stat-wise, I just switched HP with Attack. He's kind of a glass cannon, but I can imagine him using some pretty powerful priority Shadow Sneaks, and if Trick Room teams were good, he might be on them. So, that's about it. Stay tuned for my videos on the evolutions, and thanks for watching.